I'm about to drop a bombshell on you. The Disney live-action remakes are not very good. Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo, Aladdin, and now Lion King join the ranks of live-action remakes of animated movies. I don't want to sound like old man yells at cloud right now because remakes happen all the time, and obviously enough people enjoy them, but maybe there's a lesson here about adaptations. What is Disney apparently doing wrong here? Or should I say, what is a live-action remake done right?
But you've never made a movie!
No, but I have opinions! You might think, but why make a live-action remake? Well, with cinema attendance being quite shaky year to year, you need safe bets. Like sequels, prequels, and squeakquels, they're people pleasers that are more likely to be box office successes. But not always. Yikes. Now you might think, but why don't they just make original movies?
Studios should stop recycling the same tired old properties and make something original for once.
But originals are still being made, kinda. By making these nostalgic safe bets with shorter and easier production cycles, this offers a protective layer for the big flops, whilst opening the door to more original-ish movies. Well, that's the theory, but with reduced DVD and Blu-ray sales and expanding streaming subscription services, Disney just can't afford to make as many originals anymore. Well, that's a lie. They could, easily, but they don't want to. So remakes will just keep happening until something else becomes profitable, like porn parodies. So, what is the best approach to making a live-action remake? Let's pretend that Disney knocked on your door, bought your door in a multi-million-dollar merger, then burst through the door holding a reboot to your head. What's the best way to remake a movie? This is a really weird and specific scenario. Step 1. Pick a movie that needs a remake. Disney have largely opted for the timeless classics to be remade, which I think is a mistake because then you're only really selling the film to people who remember and love the original, which draws inevitable comparisons which are impossible to beat. The best strategy is to remake a movie that's completely forgotten, or maybe even isn't that good. Or take this opportunity to address some parts that, looking back on it, are very dated?
We are Siamese, if you please.
During the production of the live-action Aladdin, there were changes made to address the original's Orientalism.
Where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home.
In later releases, this line was changed, but it was there along with all the other colonial-flavored tropes. So while not perfect, there was at least an attempt to fix the past mistakes. But then there's attempting to fix things that aren't broken, as Lindsay Ellis highlights about Beauty and the Beast.
But for Beauty and the Beast, the response seems to be fixing plot holes that weren't actually problems or plot holes to begin with.
The excuse of it was fine then, so it's fine now, doesn't cut it, especially if you're not the victimized group. And it needs leadership and artistic vision to carefully pick the parts to keep and the parts to leave behind. Step 2. Try something new. Now, I'm not saying to make a good remake it has to be a totally different genre, although it might help and it might not. But it should do something different, but not too different. Maleficent is a remake of Sleeping Beauty, but instead told from the villain's perspective. It's not a great film. Angelina Jolie spends most of the time just watching stuff happen from far away, and the spinning wheel thing is stupid, and the True Love's Kiss thing is stupid, but gosh darn it, they tried something new. And this is way more appealing than just the same thing again, but this time it's photorealistic. And this isn't a dunk on CGI or visual effects because they can be just as incredible when used right. Speaking of which, step 3, embrace the medium. With any adaptation, be it book, movie, TV show, or theme park ride, stories are told in different ways. Animation can do anything and be anything, but ultimately it's entirely constructed. A character's performance can be meticulously fine-tuned until it conveys the exact emotion you're after. You can't do this with human actors, and indeed shouldn't try. So what does live action have over animation? It's real. Part of the thrill of watching something like Jackie Chan's movies is you know he's actually doing this stuff. This applies to long takes, elaborate stunts, practical effects, puppets, animatronics, or just a good performance. Inevitably though, when taking something animated to real, you might hit a dissonance between what people expect and what people get. Case in point.
Meow?
Real human actors replacing animated human characters usually just boils down to finding the right casting choice. For non-humans, it becomes a whole other problem.
Meow?
When done right, people will accept them and maybe even forget they're not real. Done wrong and So while that might be the oversimplified way to make a remake, all this is a fairy tale. Disney is a movie studio with chains and hierarchies, and this is simply not how they operate. Their movies are ultimately products, so it's up to you if you want to buy it. And if you don't, then don't. And support independent movies.
Oh, go on then.
What?
Well, if you're so smart, then what movie would you remake? Huh?
Meow?
Don't with me.
Help. So I just wanted to add, if you're somebody who's a fan of the Disney live-action remakes, that's totally fine. Please don't think I'm attacking you or attacking the films or anything like that. I was basically using them as an example and an excuse to study into how movie adaptations are made in general, so hopefully you enjoyed that, and also hopefully you'll consider supporting me on Patreon.